I got on a nonprofit board, and I was working with teams developing their own conference, and I got into a chairperson on the advisory board, and then I realized I didn't have a lot of mentors. And I know you mentioned that a lot in your podcast about why women leave corporate America or companies and they don't have a lot of mentors or sponsors. And I know people talk about getting mentors and sponsors, but there is a process of results, right? For women, we feel like I can't fail. I was having a discussion recently with some senior leaderships individuals, and one of them was a male, and he was talking about his journey and how he failed his way to the top. And I said, well, quite frankly, women don't have that feel they have that much liberty to fail, right? You have to have results. You know, like, where are your results, right? You can, but we very rarely get promoted on potential. It's your track record and history of results. So I decided
Yes.
I needed to have a personal board of directors, and so I had one for speaking, communicating, and when I decided that I wanted to pursue executive leadership, I knew in the area of STEM I needed an executive mentor. So I eventually found an executive mentor that became a part of it, and one of the challenges that he gave to me was to take a look at my biggest successes and failures, five of them, and see what they all have in common. Well, they all have in common that it was either process oriented or program oriented. That's my skill set. They kind of lend themselves to each other. If you create a process, you can create programs. So I discovered with what my individual skill set was. That's my secret sauce. So to further align with that, I did a lot of things. I one of my successful. So after I get fired from that nonprofit, I I made a relationship. So social capital, I really didn't understand what that means. We hear networking, but social capital is a value exchange, right? You figuring out how you add value to this person and what's your unique value proposition. So once I understood that, I took a shift in the way I do things, and strategically I was doing things of more of a transaction, but more when you get to more of a transformational in your leadership journey, you understand that. So I had met someone when I was taking the training at the Center for Nonprofit Management that had become an executive director at an after school program, and I say my key into getting into working well with cross generations and cultures was a part of that because it was an after school program in Dallas called Heart House, and it
Uh-huh.
serves refugee and immigrant children from around the world. So you talk about, going beyond your own communities, and then you become aware of your own unconscious biases. When working with, I was working with K through second at the time, and they're the most honest individuals I've ever met. They can sense when you're lying or not telling the truth or you're having a
Uh-huh.
bad day. You really have to come and be present in the moment, and that was very critical for me. So after doing that and discovering that, okay, I'm process and program oriented, I started to do things that are directly aligned with that, being very focused and intentional. That's my skill set. And as much as I can, I keep building on that. So I join professional organizations and, hey, what can I do? But make sure it's process or program oriented. And, so my role right now at the Frontiers of Flight Museum is Vice President of Education and Programs. So you can see a common theme